Hi everybody! Thank you so much for watching Vanya's Vegan Voyage, which is a channel that deals with all things vegan, so food, fitness, travel, and beauty. I have recently started a new series called The Story Time. So I want to share a little bit more about me and my past and where I came from to be the person that I am today. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about how I almost died, not once, but twice. Yeah. And how that has changed my views on life in general. For those of you who don't know me, I was born in Yugoslavia. That country unfortunately does not exist anymore. It's pretty much turned into 6+ countries. So we had a civil war in the 90s, and I find that word to be such a comical word because there is nothing civil about a war ever. And in my opinion, in a war, there is never a winner. Everybody loses because innocent people always end up losing their lives. The war started in the city where I lived in on the last day of my 4th grade. And it was quite horrific. I had a cousin who lived in Switzerland who got into a car accident, and that day we went to my grandparents' house in the village right outside of the city where we lived to pay our respects for his passing. And in the evening we were about to go home, we were about to get into the car to go home, and we just saw missiles flying over the city. So we were never able to go back. We didn't even have a change of underwear, no documents, no pictures, no change of clothes, nothing. It was just, we went for a day and we're never able to go back home. So I just want you to take a moment to take that in, you know, how dramatic that was. So we ended up staying with my grandparents, which was, as a child, that was not such a bad thing because my grandparents had a farm and I absolutely loved it. I loved the animals and loved helping with the animals. My job was to take the sheep out into the hills in the morning and then bring them back at night, and it was quite special when you would hear the wolves howling up in the mountains. Yay, good times. And then to take care of the chickens, and it was just such fun times. I had 2 tree houses that I pretty much spent majority of my days in. I would bring a whole bunch of apples with me, or just pick them from a tree and just hang out in the tree house like a little monkey. So my childhood, even during the war, was semi-fun, right? Because I feel like that's always been my predisposition, is to find the positive in a situation. So even though we lived in the middle of a war, you know, I could still find the positive in everything. And I really got close to the animals and to the nature because that was the escape, right? So you hear all the fighting, all the explosions going on around you everywhere, but then there's this beautiful little rooster in front of you who wants to play, and you know, who are you to deny the rooster a little bit of playtime, right? So it was a lot of fun playing around with animals and helping in the garden. I mean, we had our own organic garden where we raised everything from barley, wheat, corn, strawberries, tomatoes, cucumbers, cabbage, potatoes, anything you can think of. We had it organic, and it was just unbelievable. We stayed in my grandparents' house for quite a while, and it was winter time, and it was Christmas. So for us, the tradition was to roast a lamb, and I was the one roasting it. I was spinning it outside, and this is really funny for me now, saying it as a vegan, to see how far I have progressed in my life and how widely my values and views on things have changed over time, because I would never be caught dead doing something like that now, but that's what I did back then. So I was roasting a lamb, and you know, when you're living amidst a war, the noises of war become kind of second nature, so you don't even notice them anymore because you just hear machine guns going off, you hear explosions, you hear missiles, you hear tanks, and it doesn't even faze you after a while, which is pretty scary. Thankfully, people cannot really relate to this because they haven't experienced this, thankfully. So a lot of people view it as, you know, something that you see in a movie because it's kind of removed, but when you're living in it and it's your reality, it's it's quite crazy, you know. So even Even now when I watch movies that have explosions and stuff, it just brings flashbacks. So anyway, so it was Christmas, I was roasting a lamb, and missiles were just exploding everywhere. So you hear that standard, like, you know, explosion of the tank shooting the missile, and then you hear pew, and then you hear the explosion, and you know, you just move on with your life. Well, apparently when you hear that trajectory thing happening, you're safe. The missile is not going for you. But when it's going straight for you, you don't hear it. So I hear the explosions going on really, really far away. And then all of a sudden, it felt like Earth all around me has exploded. It was like, woof, and everything just got up from where it was, including myself. So what you're supposed to do in a situation where missiles are falling around you is drop down flat and try to not take up much space. But I was in such a state of shock that I went on all fours and went inside the house like that on all fours and crawled under a table, and I was crying hysterically for about 2 hours. I don't think I could calm down, just shaking and crying. So the missiles kept falling, and they kept falling, and they kept falling. Finally, when it subsided, my parents went out to see what happened, and thankfully, so the missile went on a side of a ditch. So I was on like a little platform, and there was a ditch, and the missile fell in the ditch, and then all the shrapnel got stuck on the trees on the side. So thankfully, that's what saved me. Otherwise, I would have been in a gajillion pieces on the floor there. So yeah, that was my first time where I almost died, and I survived, thankfully. And then another time, my mom and I were walking down the street, and we were walking on a street. The street was going around the valley, so there was a big valley and then a mountain up on the side, and we were just on a road in the middle. And I guess somebody saw us, and then they started shooting missiles that kept falling closer and closer and closer to us. So we were running down the street like crazy, and you see the missiles exploding in the valley below you, just coming closer and closer and closer. That is super surreal to know that, you know, the very next time you hear that tank firing off, that could be your last time. So we just came to a house, knocked on the door, and they let us in, and we ended up staying in their basement until the nighttime, and then under the cover of darkness we went home. So this, even talking about it, sounds super surreal. Thankfully, people don't get to experience this on a daily basis. Unfortunately, I did. But in a way, I don't want to say I'm glad that it happened, but I also feel that it shaped me into the person who I am today. It's really hard to knock me down in life. I feel like it's made me very resilient. It also made me appreciate life so much more and appreciate the opportunities that come my way. So, you know, at school, at work, just in life in general, I feel like I'm a superstar fighter, and I don't just ride the wave. I feel like I really take the reins of my life myself, and I make things happen. I feel like if I didn't experience those near-death experiences, I probably maybe would not value life as much as I do now. And you know, sometimes life gets really difficult and it gets very tough, and you feel like you can't go any longer. In my situation particularly, I say, well, I almost died twice. It cannot get worse than this. You know, as long as I have my health, everything else is fixable, and nothing else is as dramatic as my mind at that moment is making it to be. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is I'm hoping that it inspires others, because we all see our own struggles as ridiculously difficult and almost impossible to overcome. But I promise you, unfortunately, there's people out there who are dealing with things 1,000 times worse than yours. And as difficult as your problems seem to be, they're not that bad, and you are a strong person. Stronger than you believe you are, because when you're pushed, only then do you realize the true potential of your strength. So you are much stronger than what you think you are, and you just need to believe in yourself, and things work out. I want you guys to look at me as an example of a little kid who almost died twice. didn't have food for months at a time, struggled through a war for over 4 years, and came to a country where I didn't speak the language, I didn't understand the culture. I came here as a sophomore in high school, and from there I was able to enroll in the university, graduate summa cum laude, top 1% of my class from both of my undergraduate and graduate degree, have a great career in sales, and I hope that my journey inspires others to take their lives by the horns and make things happen, because you are the most powerful person, and you are the one in charge of your life, and you are the one in charge of how you see things. So it's all about perspective. I choose to be positive. I choose to be happy. I choose to always be optimistic, and that it's always glass half full. And it's glass half full of coconut water, because that is good for you. Because as long as you choose to have the optimistic and happy and positive outlook on life, everything else just kind of falls in its place, I promise. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing the story and that you find it inspirational. And this is just a small little tidbit of my story time videos that are coming up in the future. So no matter what life throws at you, you can get through it, because you are powerful, you are strong, you are unique, you are special, and you deserve the best. And as long as you have that frame of mind, anything in life is possible. All you have to do is believe in yourself, and that is it. So thank you so much, you guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Drop me a line in the comment box below. I would really love to start a conversation on this topic. What are your biggest fears? What are your biggest regrets? What have been some of the toughest things that you had to overcome in your life? Please share with me. I would love to hear from you. And let me know what other topic you would like me to cover in the future upcoming videos. Stay strong on your vegan voyage, and I will see all of you in the next video. Mwah! Thank you so much, you guys. Please like the video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Bye!